a Trump supporter was killed in Denver over the weekend. The news media nationally is barely noticing. They would certainly be noticing if it was the other way around, if it was a Trump supporter who shot dead a BLM or Antifa protester. These protests are continually violent in cities like Portland and Seattle. There's a lot of violence happening all throughout the country. People in Denver witnessed it first up close and personal, including a private security guard contracted by 9 News. I saw something mentioned last night on Tucker Carlson's show about how the main anchor on 9 News in Denver is a big progressive. Apparently they attack conservatism and the president pretty regularly. I can assure you that lawyers are already gathering to figure out how to litigate this guy's murder. Here was a guest last night. This is John Teagan. He's a former Benghazi GRS team member. He was in Denver when this shooting took place.
Yeah, well, this would qualify as shooting a man in the face is intimidation, I would say. Unfortunately, killed him. John Teagan, thank you for your account.
Well, shooting somebody for slapping them in the face, that's not self-defense. That's murder.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That's the defense, incidentally, is that the man was acting in self-defense because he was slapped, I guess, allegedly by the Patriot rally protester. Here's Sarge on the Mike Gallagher Show in the ReliefFactor.com studios. Hello, Sarge. How are you?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hey, I'm a federal and private security contractor, Colorado, and I just wanted to briefly touch the individual. He actually was subcontracted by a local firm who actually was working for a national security outfit.
Right.
And unfortunately, this guy was not licensed at all to be anything in security.
I saw that.
The city of Denver has strict licensing, and it's just a shame. It's a big mess for our industry right now, and the liability insurance for these companies, I don't know if they're even going to be able to work with them because the lawsuit from this thing is just going to be
of course,
astronomical.
And I'm having a hard time understanding of the events of this particular incident where it looks like the two of them, I mean, one guy was screaming and cursing and yelling at the Patriot rally protesters, and that was off to the side. Then this guy gets into it with the security guard, and before you know it, the security guard whips out his handgun and shoots the guy in the face and kills him. I mean, for
it's actually on the ground.
What's that?
Ferguson.
I'm sorry. I'm having a really hard time hearing you, Sarge. I'm sorry. We have a real bad connection. One open line, 800-655. Mike, Tom wants to weigh in on this shooting death of a Trump supporter killed at this rally in Denver. Hey, Tom.
Mike, I wonder if conservatives are gonna be like the Jews in Germany in the 30s. It's I'm from Chicago, and you could be at a restaurant where you can mainly eat outside, and there's roving groups of BLM people and Antifa people will accost you as you're eating dinner. They'll flip your plates over and stuff like that. And there's people I know that are, law enforcement. They're like, I'm going where I want. There's a point in time they're not going to give this up. I mean, there's 0%. Trump could win by 10 million votes, and they're gonna pull a Stuart Smalley on us. Oh, we found 600 in a trunk. We found 2,000 here. There was so many in a school closet. So I don't want a civil war, but I think that's what it's either we win or they're gonna just go crazy until we stop them. And we, I mean the people. And believe me, I know a ton of people that are ready. Retired police and military, they've had it, and it's just rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6.
It feels like we're getting to a tipping point where some of this violence has to be stopped. The president yesterday tweeted out the riots that are happening in Portland. I mean, what will anybody tell me what it means to tear down the statue of Abraham Lincoln in Portland, Oregon, because Antifa is mad at Columbus Day? Really? Eric, let's find one caller in America who can explain in a rational way, tearing down an Abraham Lincoln statue because you're mad about Columbus Day. 1-800-655-MIKE. I'll really ruin your day. I'll send you a free MyPillow if you call me and can explain it. And don't pretend. I want you to legitimately defend tearing down statues of Teddy Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln over Columbus Day. That's violence. Tearing down buildings and statues and disrupting diners and knocking over tables and certainly shooting a Trump supporter in the head because he slapped you is violence. And listen, I came into the studios yesterday, New York Daily News, big front cover story. There'll be thousands and thousands and thousands of people taking to the streets if the election doesn't go the way the New York Daily News, a liberal publication, wants it to go. So I guess they're predicting riots in New York on Election Day if it doesn't turn out in 3 weeks the way the left wants it to. I mean, literally, major news media institutions are promising escalating violence, it seems, if the election doesn't turn out the way. And don't think there won't be people, I guess, who are going to say, well, maybe it'll get better as long as I vote for Joe Biden, or I don't show up. Maybe I just won't show up, and things will work out. No, the only way things are going to work out is if we allow law enforcement and the rule of law to prevail. As long as we support the ability of police, of law enforcement, of the military, if needed. I mean, the media is completely silent over this kind of violence. And apparently in Portland, Sunday night, you saw the video, right? Tearing down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I'm reading a book right now. It's a Regnery book about the night that Lincoln was assassinated. It's a fascinating book. It's written in that style. Doggone it, I don't have the name in front of me. It's like how it really, or what really happened. And this guy has written a book about Lincoln's assassination and Adolf Hitler's death. And it's just really well written. It's done in that Bill O'Reilly style of like bringing history alive. And things I didn't know about Lincoln's assassination that night in Ford's Theater, it's fascinating. But the decency and the goodness and the strength, the courage of Abe Lincoln, it's a fascinating book. And I just saw the video of his statue being torn down in Portland, Oregon, because it's Columbus Day. What in the hell are they talking about? What's that? That's nuts. Tipping over diners' tables in an outdoor restaurant where these restaurants are desperately trying to survive, and the only way they're allowed to survive, for example, in New York, you got to have tables outside. They're blocking off streets so they can put the tables in the streets because these poor restaurants can't make it unless they're having diners. And it's cold, it's chilly in New York, but sit outside shivering, eating because you're allowed to eat outside according to Emperor Cuomo. That's the rules in New York. Now, incidentally, you can have Saturday Night Live with a big audience, studio audience, no problem there, because we don't want to touch Saturday Night Live at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. That's okay to have Saturday Night Live with a studio audience. Anybody notice? But a Trump rally outside, those people aren't socially distancing. Is anybody going to notice that nobody in the audience at Saturday Night Live was social distancing? They were all sitting next to each other watching, whoever. Watching Kamala Harris, played by that very funny, what's her name? She's so good. Maya Rudolph. It's so good. And there's a big studio audience. Theaters are dead in New York. No live theater. Actors, ushers, they're out of work. They're desperate. But if you work on Saturday Night Live, you're okay. I guess they had some scheme where Lorne Michaels figured out if we give the audience like $20 each, they're like employees of NBC. So they did a workaround where listen, churches would love to do that. I'm seeing local stories of Catholic priests, rabbis begging, can we open up? Nope, you cannot. You can't have more than 10 people in your house of worship. There were a heck of a lot more than 10 people in the NBC studios for Saturday's Saturday Night Live. But don't pay any attention to that kind of hypocrisy. Don't notice it. It's okay. Nothing to see here. Move along, move along, move along. It's sick. Their hypocrisy is stunning. And their lunacy is on display for everybody to see. You want more of that? You elect Democrats on November the 3rd, because there'll be more of it.